Welcome everyone to a very special conversation and interview. Let me set the background. The story of Ethiopian Jews is the story of the Jewish people, from Exodus to the Promised Land. The remarkable story many of us recall from the early 1980s. Some 16,000 Ethiopian Jews walked by foot from their homes in northern Ethiopia across to Sudan and eventually to Israel. They were barred from leaving Ethiopia, so they made their journey in secret. Over 1,500 died on the way or in refugee camps in Sudan. One of those Ethiopian Jews walking barefoot as a young child to join the transportation to Israel as part of the covert Operation Moses is our very, very honored and special guest, Member of Knesset, Pnina Tamano-Shata, the first Ethiopian woman to hold a seat in the Knesset and now the Minister for Aliyah and Integration. Welcome, Brochim Habaim, Minister Pnina. Welcome to our evening.
Shalom, Rabbi Piny and Gila, and to all members of United Synagogue. I'm very happy that I have the privilege and the opportunity to be here with you today.
And we are honored also, Minister. And I want to ask you, because our interview, of course, was meant to take place some time ago. And at the last minute, of course, you were stricken with COVID. How are you? Have you recovered?
Today, thank God, I am okay and I recovered. And it was a hard period of time, hard 2 weeks, but now I am okay. And I hope and I pray that all of us, all the world, and also Israel will come over this challenging with the virus of COVID. And I said the best for all the people that become sick from this virus.
Thank you. So I want to take you back, Minister, if I may, to where it all really began. So you started, of course, you were born in Ethiopia. That's where your family came from. Was it always your family's dream to come to Israel? And what was life like and the memories that you and your family have of life in Ethiopia?
As you said, I'm born in Ethiopia in a very small village that's called Wuzava. And for my community, the Jewish Ethiopian community, and that called Beta Israel, the Ethiopian called us the Falasha. It means strangers. We always knew that our home is Israel, Jerusalem. We always yearning and dream about Jerusalem for generation. I'm sixth generation for Father Mahari, that in the 18th century, the 19th century, tried to make our exodus from Ethiopia to Israel. Unfortunately, it didn't succeed. But 1 century after, my family and my community and my grandfather, that was a rabbi of the community in Gondar Street, he started in 84 in Operation Moses. He started the operation and all the journey. He motivated the community that yearning for years to come home. We saw us as a temporary when we were in Ethiopia. I don't have a lot of memories. I have a few memories from the refugee camp in Sudan, and it's in this day Israel going to establish agreement with Sudan, and the community very exciting because it is opportunity to us also to come back to the refugees point in Sudan, and to remember the people that we are lost in the land of Sudan, when they try, that hero that try to make the dream come true, the Jerusalem dream come true, but unfortunately They died because hunger and disease. It was a very, very hard journey. I was 3 years old. My mother was pregnant all the way from Ethiopia to Sudan. And in that journey, unfortunately, my family split two. And when we arrived to the airplane, the Israeli airplane, Hercules, my mother left behind with other of my sisters, but with God's help, it was a miracle. 1 year after, in 1985, the Mossad, the secret agents of Israel, found her and my sisters, and they came to Israel. And for me, I think this was the first beginning in Israel, a good beginning, because it was a tragedy story, but end with good. But I have a lot of friends that become orphan, and their parents died in Sudan.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I have chills, and I'm humbled just listening to you. Thank you for sharing that. On a very different note, Israel is currently celebrating Aliyah Day. You and your family are Olim. What was it like for you and your family growing up as Ethiopian Olim here in Israel?
Very challenging. We are the only Black Jew in Israel. I think that in one hand, we make the dream come true. In other hand, we not the government and not the community understood before what we are going with what we are going to deal, and how much it's going to be challenging. I think that the first years in the observation center was wonderful, wonderful until today. I remember all the people that came and they contribute from themselves and try to hug us and to give us a lot of information about the Israel. And my first songs about Israel, I remember everything. But after that, after the observation center, after we settled in our new home in Petah Tikva, the first years was challenging because we faced with the reality. In one hand, the situation, the economic situation, wasn't so good, and for my family to start everything, and the gaps we came from. Non-modern life. We come from villages without electricity, without running water, without the education was it wasn't very in a high percent in my community. But in other hand, not only the economic situation, but also the fact that our blackness take a part in the situation, the different situation, even as a child. I remember that some child in my neighborhood, it was very hard for them to accept that I am a regular child. I see myself Israeli since I came to Israel, since the first day that I came to Israel. But some of the children, as the children, has a phenomenal of discrimination, and I think this is influenced a lot about my decision when I become mature to study law and to be activist against the discrimination, because we are at home, we are part of the Israeli society, we are part of the Jewish people, 100%. And even the differences, we need to build the bridges and to know each other, to keep our tradition that we bring from the countries that we came from, but not to forget our source, but also to be Israel, to acclimated and to integrated in the Israeli society.
100%. So following on your answer of that you became an activist, so you went to study law, you became a journalist, and then ultimately you became a politician. So I was curious to think what led you down, what led you down that path? Because you could have stopped at being a lawyer. That would have been incredible. You could have stopped at being a journalist, and you could have still been successful. Yet you made it to Parliament, to the Knesset. And what drove
Yes.
you?
I think that it's interesting because I decide to deal with and to be to play a role in a three field that influence directly on the Israeli society. To be a journalist is to be in the front, also to be a politician, and also when I was a lawyer. And it's come from the fact that I truly want to raise a voice of my community, to raise another voice, not only for my community, for my community, for a lot of communities, weakest communities that need advocate, that need more legislation, more to change policy, to accept more help. And I think that in one sense, it's same opportunity. It's very important to give the same opportunity to all the Israeli children. And today, as a minister of Aliyah and integration, it's so important to me to see all the children that come from Ukraine, some of them from Pnina Tamano-Shata from Hodu, and from United States, from Ethiopia. And I know that my mission is to see them, to help them, to open doors for them. My parents teach me and my sibling to all the time to dream very far, and to know that even we don't have in some of period of time we didn't really have a lot of money and the means, but they give us the most important thing, the value, to love Israel, to love our people, to love this country, and to believe in ourselves. And they teach us that knowledge is a very important power to success in the Israeli society. They always told us to go and get education, that the key for success is education. Because of that, I think all my brothers and my sister finish university, and they work today with the society, and some of them social workers, two of my sister, and one of my brother, he is work with children, with youth at risk, and a lot of field that help to children. And I, as you said, that decide to be part of the decision maker in Israel and to influence directly on policy in Israel, and to influence and to change life and to give the same opportunity for a lot of children from all over Israel.
Wow.
Amazing, absolutely incredible. So, Minister,
Thank
initially, when you joined and entered the Knesset as a member of Yesh Atid, then of
Yes.
course you've been on a little journey. You then,
Yeah.
of course, joined Benny Gantz, the Kachol Lavan, and then entered a coalition with Likud. How has that been for you, and how has the last 7 months been for you? Are you happy with where you are and what you've accomplished? What's your thoughts about that?
There is some point that I believe very critical point in the Israeli history, the Israeli politics history, and I think one of them was when we decided as the blue and white, Benny Gantz, the head of the party, and also I personally, that I decide to be part of the united government, the 35 government. I think that after three election, it was nuts to go to another election and to see the Israeli society in a big conflict. For me, it was like, Pnina, now you need to decide the right thing for the Israeli society. And when I know that the decision is between election to united government, I decide to be part of united government and to be. And one of the good things it's also that it is the first time that there is a seat around the cabinet for Ethiopian origin person. And it is, I'm always saying that this seat is not a respect for myself. This seat, it is a respect seat for my community, the Beta Israel, the Jewish of Ethiopia, that made a long journey, very hard journey, and keep the Torah through all the generation, and made a very hard journey from Ethiopia through Sudan until we arrive to Israel. And I believe that I have a mission to, as I said, to raise a voice of equality, to raise a voice of same opportunity, to struggle against discrimination, to be a better society.
Beautiful. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Thank you very much.
In Chutz La'aretz, in the diaspora, Israel is very much the envy of the world. It's a runaway success, high-tech startup nation. Everything that we buy here seems to come from Israel. So with such a success and with so much going on and happening in the country, does Israel now actually want and really need Olim to come to Israel? Is there a place for us?
It's not a matter of need. Israel, it is the national home of the Jewish people around the world. In the bad time, in a good time, our doors is always open to the Jewish community around the world, to each person that want to make Aliyah to Israel. Our arms is open, and my job is to accompany each of the new immigrants that came to Israel, and to give them and to provide them the tools to acclimate it, and to give them all the help that they need until they feel that they are okay in the new home in Israel. We are a unique country. There is no a place in the world that there is a integration basket, and that you are accompany them from the airport to their new home. And we are here, and this is the uniqueness of Israel. Since Israel establishment, 3 million new immigrants came and built this country. We are amazing. We are we can tell that we are a miracle, that our country is a kind of miracle. But now, after 72 years, we need to build more united society, more united Israeli society. A lot of people brought with them a tradition, and a different tradition. Some come from Arab countries, some made Aliyah from United States and from London, and some from Ethiopia. And now we need to know to build Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, and to be 100%. More strong, because together we are strong.
100%.
100%.
Oh my God. My last question to you is quite a heavy question. Before I ask the question, I just want to share with you, Minister, I didn't think I was going to cry, but you've touched my inner core with your answers, with your passion. And I just hope it goes straight from your mouth all the way into the world, and we can get that. So thank you for that. So my last question to you is, we are all very aware, especially after the events of the last few months, of the Black Lives Matter movement. And you have spoken, and also today, about your intention to rid Israel of discrimination. Have you personally experienced racism in Israel? And do you see it as a similar fight and struggle as that being experienced in the United States of America? And do you have any plans? If yes, do you have any plans to affect change in that area?
So first of all, yes, unfortunately, I have experience and I feel personally what is mean discrimination. When I was in my earlier 20s, some guy didn't really want to sell me food in the market, and I told him why he didn't sell me the food, and he told me, you all the Ethiopian, you are a stealer, you steal from the market and didn't pay. And it was like, I was in shock. Unfortunately, I sued him in the court, but unfortunately the judge didn't understand what is mean discrimination, and she told me that he apologized, just take that 5,000 shekels and it's okay. And I told her, no, it's not okay. I want you to give your intention and to write the right things, what is mean discrimination, and why the Israeli society and the court need to fight against discrimination. But she felt this file, and I was in shock. And I remember that I cried, and I go home to my mother. I went home to my mother, and I told her, I don't want to stay in a country that there is a discrimination, even it is our country, the Jewish people country. And she told me, Pnina, if you leave Israel, the discriminated people will beat you.
Yeah.
They will win.
Yeah.
You need to stay.
Right.
And your love to this country and to the Jewish people, it is not depend on person, in some person, or in that person in the market, or this judge, and everything will be okay. And sometimes the tzedek, the justice comes from, she told me, justice not come from people. And she right, because 1 month after that, or 2 months after that, that the judge that judge, she quit from the system, because they catch her done some very bad thing in her position. And
Wow.
this is the end of this story, but it is only one story from a lot of stories. And I think that the important thing is that I understood, because that even I was a student of law, that there is a very long road to do, and to change even the system, and to bring a new policy. And I remember that I told to myself, I'm going to legislate. I will be MK, member of Knesset, and I will bring a legislation that will punish discriminated people. And this is what I'm done today.
For you.
We have a very long road to do. And unfortunately, you ask about United States and Black Lives Matter. There is some things that it is the same, because the Black people suffered from discrimination around the world. It's not matter if you are in Israel, United States, France, or other countries. And I think that in this matter, we have a common struggle, but this is in another and different level. Okay. But even in Israel, I was one of the leader of demonstration in 2015 against police violence in our neighborhood. And I'm ashamed to say our neighborhood, because I believe in integration. We don't need a neighborhood for Ethiopian. No. So we work very hard also in this matter. And I can tell you that the police still denied that there is a problem. But you know what? The number not lie, because there is 23,000, more than 23,000 files that open against Ethiopian young people. and we are a very small country, small community. So maybe a third of one third of my community open to them a file. I have a lot of job to do.
You do. You do. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And really thank you, Rabbi Piny and Gila, and to your community, to our community. I feel that I am part of all the Jewish community around the world, and to the United Synagogue. And I wish you Shana Tova and all the best. And come to Israel to visit us. We are always here. And everyone that wants to make Aliyah to Israel, we are here for him.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I have to say that your journey and your achievements to date are truly, truly awe-inspiring. You're a role model, a beacon of light, in particular to the women and to Olim in general. And Gila and I want to thank you for kindly agreeing to meet us. I know you've got a very hectic schedule and you've given of your time so generously to us. So we wish you and your office and your work, bracha v'hatzlacha, in all your work, in all your endeavors. On behalf of British Jewry, thank you for everything you do for Israel and for the Jewish people.
תודה רבה, עם ישראל חי, ניפגש בירושלים.
Amen. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.